Hello, welcome back to Erica's Little Welsh Garden. About 2 years ago now, I created a raised bed area up here in my woodland garden, and I'm going to now be putting a polytunnel up, so I need to move all of these raised beds. But the green raised bed here was filled with a method called Hugelkultur, and that's where you put lots of logs at the bottom of the growing area, fill lots of compost and other growing medium on top, and as the wood rots down, it creates lots of lovely food for your plants. And I really enjoyed doing that, and it saved me a lot of money when it came to using compost to fill these beds. But lots of people commented on the video, and at the time it was one of my most popular videos, and it was for a very long time. Lots of people asked how the bed was going on, and you know, a year after, 6 months later and stuff like that. And because I'm going to be putting a polytunnel up here, I'm going to be moving all of these raised beds out of the way so that the polytunnel can be constructed, and then the raised beds will be going back. So I thought this was the perfect opportunity to take the compost out of the top of this bed and have a look underneath to see what the Hugelkultur looks like now and how it's performing really. Before we actually delve into the soil and see what it looks like underneath, there's just a couple of things I need to say. And the first thing is, I've not done anything in this bed since planting it up last year, and I've got some nettles growing, a bramble, and it's an absolute mess. So I do apologise about that. But when I decided that I was going to be putting a polytunnel up, I thought I'm not going to do anything up here until I move the beds and go from there. But this bed never actually performed very well at all, and I think one of the main reasons for that is it's up here in the woodland and it doesn't get many hours of sunlight, and it never performed very well. And I don't think that is because it's the Hugelkultur bed. I just think it's because you know, it's not a great area for it. But when I did create that Hugelkultur bed, putting all of the logs at the bottom, I then put lots of leaf mould. I had chickens at the time, so I had some lovely chicken manure that I also put down, and then it's had loads of compost on top as well. So I don't think it was to do with the fact that the logs were underneath. But since then, looking back at that Hugelkultur video, I did realise that as I was putting all of those logs at the very bottom of the bed, they were all slightly different shapes. They didn't fit really closely together, and there were lots of air gaps. So if I was to make a Hugelkultur bed again, I would make sure that I packed them really tightly, and as the layers went in, I would maybe put compost in between all of those little gaps, so when it was finished there was no air gaps at all. Plants and roots do need air in the soil, but I think too many air gaps just wouldn't be very good at all. So all of that aside, let's turn the camera around and start digging inside and seeing what it looks like. The first thing I'm going to do now is just give this a really quick hand weed over, so I can make sure that I don't transfer any of these weeds over into the new bed when I reuse the compost. It's all been weeded now, so I'm pretty happy with that, and I've just dug up this primrose. Don't panic though, it's not going on the compost heap. I'm going to be putting that somewhere else, and what I'm going to do now with all of the compost is put that aside in a bag, and then hopefully we can have a look at what all that wood looks like underneath. So one of the first issues I think I had with this bed, you can see here, is that there are so many air gaps underneath, and somebody else I know that made a Hugelkultur bed mentioned that they had a problem with rats, and obviously if rats and mice and stuff are looking around for somewhere to live, if they just dig a little hole in and can see there's a lovely space underneath, then I think it is quite a possibility that you could get vermin and stuff. So that's the first thing I think I might have done a little bit wrong when I was making this bed. I'm not sure how well you can see this, but I absolutely love how as the wood is starting to decay, it holds so much moisture. Here in Wales, in the UK, it rains quite a lot here, so I don't really need to worry too much about watering my plants, I usually get enough in my water butts and stuff to be able to water up here without having to take any water from, you know, the house taps or anything. But if you are living somewhere where water, you know, is a massive premium and it doesn't rain very often, then this is an amazing method for you, because it just means every time you are watering this bed, it's going to start holding all of that moisture, so you don't have to worry too much about keep on watering it. And having the logs at the bottom holding that moisture means that you're not having to kind of water from the top. You know, if I keep watering my plants all the time from the top, you get other weeds growing and stuff like that. But you know, the roots can just come down, attach themselves onto this log and just get as much water as it wants as it grows. Another thing that I want to point out is there are so many roots attached to this log. So obviously as these plants are growing, they're attaching themselves to this log so they know that they will get a continued supply of water. I think this is absolutely amazing. And apart from that one bit of an air pocket that I found, I haven't actually found too many others. So I think this is an amazing method for growing vegetables, and I'm actually very glad that I've done this. At first I thought, oh goodness me, I've made this bed and now I'm moving it again, what a pain and an undo of work. But I've actually learned something from this, and I hope you are finding this interesting yourself, because I'm actually amazed at how good this is doing. The only thing so far I'm thinking that isn't so good is that I didn't have enough depth in the soil above all of these logs, but this is such a good thing that I've done here, and I really hope you're kind of getting sold on this idea, because look, the roots are just stuck to this, and obviously they are getting so much from having these logs under the soil. I am so impressed with how my Hugelkultur bed has turned out. I really love the way all of the plant roots have just wrapped themselves around the logs, and you know, they can just get themselves a steady supply of water as and when they need it. And you know, in this day and age when we're trying to think about saving water and water security, using the Hugelkultur method I think is a no-brainer really. I'm so impressed with it up in my woodland garden, and in a way I do feel quite bad that I've just destroyed that bed that I'd made a couple of years ago, but actually I'm so glad I did, because it's meant I can make this video and show you how well it's performing, but also I can get a better understanding of it as well, and I am totally sold. This is something actually I wish I'd done in the greenhouse big bed that I've got, because in a greenhouse I'm going to be constantly watering and stuff, and that would have definitely been such a beneficial thing to do there. But I am building a polytunnel at the moment, and there will be raised beds in there, so I'm definitely going to be taking that method forward. Thank you so much for watching, and if this is the first time you're watching one of my videos, please do hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so to be notified of all of my latest videos. As ever, YouTube have some videos up on the screen now that they think you'll like, including when I actually created this Hugelkultur bed, so please go ahead and watch those, and I will catch up with you in the next episode. Bye.